Package received. Let's see what's in it. You wanna know what was in that package? Yo, look at that! Hey, how's it going today, everybody? My name is Will Tran, and Merry Christmas to you all. Today we're talking about 5 tips to immediately improve the quality of your short films. Number 1, use correct focal lengths. A lot of amateur filmmakers, they always shoot on just a wide angle lens. Everybody's heard of the wide, medium, and tight shot, but for some reason people don't tell you how to actually properly achieve those shots. People tend to think that a wide, medium, and tight shot is just moving the camera forward and backwards. No. Achieving these shots means using the correct focal lengths. For a wide shot, you gotta use a wide angle lens, much like this one right here. Wide shots are used whenever you're trying to capture expansiveness of a scene, or you're trying to make a room look really big. For a wide shot, you gotta be using a lens that's between 16 and I'd say 20 millimeters. Now for medium shots, you gotta be using a focal length that's around 35 to 50 millimeters. And that's to capture partial close-ups and details. And for tight shots, you gotta be using lenses that are around 70 plus. Those are used for detail shots, dialogue scenes, anything where you only gotta be focusing on one person. Changing a focal length does not just scale in. I think you've realized that by now. It actually changes perspectives. It compresses the background. And focal lengths also really heavily affect the face. If you try to get a tight shot with a wide angle, you're gonna get a really weird looking shot because the ears are like disappear behind the face and then the nose gets pulled forward. It's really weird. You gotta be using longer focal lengths because that is considered a medium to tight shot. Wide angle lenses, you know, they express depth. Because like my hand can be right here. Look how big it is compared to me. Use correct focal lengths, change them up. Obviously for this part of the video, I'm not using the correct focal length. I'm using a wide angle because this is a vlog style video. But you know, in the cinematics, we're gonna make things look pretty awesome. All right, I don't know about you guys, but I am starving. So I'm gonna go cook up some food real quick. All right, do I dare take the risk? One-handed? Let's try it. Come on. Let's go! Eggs and toast, man. Can't go wrong with it. I don't have any bacon, so unfortunately we gotta deal without it. You know what's pretty lame, man? I just took my one and only final. And that class decided to say, hey, let's have our final on the very last possible day of finals. So I've been stuck here in Austin wanting to go home while every other one of my friends decided to go home already. Brandon got to leave really early. Leah, I don't know what she's up to. I actually haven't caught up with her in a bit. But more or less, everybody has already gone home and I've been stuck here. My apartment's been empty for about like a month now. But hey, I gotta take some bites of this before this gets cold. What you know about that egg pour? There we go, man. Let's see what we're working with. That's clean. Such a cloudy day outside today. All right, number 2 is to use correct exposure. So, there are 3 kings of exposure, and they're part of something known as the exposure triangle. Obviously, the exposure triangle has 3 parts to it: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. All of these aspects will brighten up or darken your image, but they will also affect your image in their own way. Let's start with aperture. Aperture is the iris of your lens, how wide open, how closed it is. Just like your pupils, how they open and close depending on the amount of light in your area. Aperture will affect depth of field or how blurry your background is. Apertures are also measured in f-stops, so the lower the number, the more open your aperture is, and the higher the number, the more closed up. And obviously how much your aperture can open is dependent on your lens. More expensive lenses can open up wider, giving you a more blurry background. Next part is shutter speed, which affects your motion blur. Shutter speed is measured in fractions of a second, so the higher the shutter speed, the less motion blur. The lower the shutter speed, the more motion blur. Kind of backwards, but that's just how it is. And lastly is ISO, which affects your camera sensor's sensitivity to light. ISO affects grain in your image. So typically you want to stay around your camera's native ISO. You're gonna have to look that up about your specific camera. That's already a lot of information. So to give you guys a starting point, you gotta make sure that your shutter speed is double your frame rates. We'll get to frame rates if you don't know what that is in a second. ISO, stay around your native ISO range, and your apertures, depending on your choice. A lot of people like to shoot wide open, some people don't. I personally do like to shoot pretty wide open, but there are obviously times where I'm going to close up my apertures to get a very specific look. I think I got a package downstairs, so I'm gonna go get that real quick. But first, I'm gonna enjoy this iced coffee. telling you, bro, this elevator never works. All right, fine, man, I'll take the stairs. This thing's so broken, dude. Also, I just took a look at the last shot, and man, was not looking too great, so had to shave off the whiskers, got a hat. My buddy Vince was yelling at me for wearing the same hat over and over again, so there, I'm wearing a different one. Are you happy now? Anyway, let's go grab this package. Package received, let's see what's in it. You wanna know what was in that package? Yo, look at that! Oh yeah, there we go. Got some little RGB lights. I've had this PC for a while, so it's about time that I had some RGB lights in there. Embracing my true gamer. You guys want red? Let's go with red. That's orange. That's red, look at that. How about blue? Oh, man, it's so cool. Now that is pretty insane. Now speaking of color, that's the next thing on this list. Color is the next thing that you should understand, and the first thing we should understand is color temperature. Color temperature is measured in Kelvin, and you've definitely seen color temperatures on the boxes of light bulbs whenever you're buying them. So the lower the temperature, the warmer it is, and the higher the temperature, the cooler it is. I don't know who designed that and decided to say that they should flip it, but that's just how it is. So the great thing about cameras is that they will reverse this. So the higher the temperature that you set your camera to, the warmer the image will be, and the lower the temperature, the cooler it will be. So the general area Kelvin that you want to be around is around 5600K, but obviously that depends on the situation that you're in, such as the sunset. You may want your color tones to look a little bit warmer, so you might up the temperature a little bit. But a general rule of thumb is that you want to make your whites look white. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is color contrast. So you can see that I actually chose blue for this light right here because it contrasts my orange skin tones. So for all of you art junkies out there, you know that orange and blue are on opposite sides of the color wheel. So my skin tones are orange and the background light is blue, so therefore I pop out and you're more focused on my face and not what's going on in the background. This is a really cool background. Maybe I should set like a tripod right here. Yo, that'd be sick! Yo, I gotta use that eventually. So keep that in mind, color temperatures and color contrast. It's like I'm going solo for the day, man. Dude, everybody's gone. I've never seen West Campus so empty. Well, I gotta make the best out of every single day. Maybe you should too. We're at Rapolo's. Best pizza place in West Campus, bro. You got the pepperoni roll, you got the Italian garden pizza. I'm not a vegetarian, but hey, this stuff is amazing. I don't know what to tell you, man, but that is delicious. All right, man, number 4 is use correct frame rate. So amateur filmmakers, they may shoot in 30 or even worse, 60 frames a second, but whenever you shoot in these frame rates, you're getting this weird, unnaturally smooth. It's pretty noisy out here. Maybe I should move. That's a lot better. All right, what was I saying? So whenever you're shooting in higher frame rates, like 30 or 60 frames a second, and then you export in those settings, then you get this really weird, awkwardly smooth home video kind of feel. We've equated cinema to 24 frames a second, so you should be shooting in 24 frames a second almost all the time. However, that doesn't mean you should ever use higher frame rates, but the only reason you should be using higher frame rates is if you are trying to achieve slow motion. I honestly shoot in 60 frames a second a lot, but I always slow everything back down to 24 frames a second, which gives me an awesome slow motion look. It smooths out my camera movements. Right, so shooting 24 frames a second all the time, unless you're trying to get slow motion, then go up to 60 or higher if your camera allows. Man, bro, I just saw another guy leave with a ton of bags. He got to go home too. I gotta stop complaining and just go home. Getting a little homesick, guys. Pretty sad. I can't really go home until Sunday because I got things to do. It's Friday right now, so man. A couple days has never seemed so long before, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so I'm about to do a little bit of packing, but before I do that, let's move on to number 5. Alright, camera movement. Get yourselves a gimbal, a stabilizer, a glide cam, something that you can get really smooth camera movements with. Because guess what? Movement is cinematic. Stop holding such boring still shots. Start moving that camera a little bit. Once the video is out, I'll have a link right up here in the top right corner for you guys to watch 10 cinematic camera movements. And this bonus tip kind of goes hand in hand, invest in yourself, okay? Because look, if you really want to be a filmmaker, you're going to invest in yourself. You're going to buy a good camera equipment. You're going to invest your time into getting better every single day. Because if you're really as passionate as you say you are, you'd be willing to put your money where your mouth is. If you're a filmmaker and you say that you don't want to buy a good camera, that's like saying you're a chef who doesn't want to buy pots or pans. That does not make sense. Invest in yourself, because people will not invest in you unless you invest in yourself. So be willing to make the leap and buy some new camera equipment that can get you up there where people can pay you to create videos for them. And obviously, as you all know, it is not just the gear that you have, but also the person behind it. So real quick, I want to talk to you guys about this new training program that I'm starting called the Filmmakers Code. I've already trained one student and she's absolutely killing it in her films. All of her films look like blockbusters. And not only that, she got to this point in only about 1 month. So if she can get there in 1 month, so can you, which is why we are also offering 1 month of free one-on-one training for 5 new students. Yes, I'm serious, 1 month for free. You and I are gonna work together, and I promise by the end of it, you will come out a better filmmaker. So go ahead and click the link down below, fill out an application, and let's get to work. I also have a link down below for you guys to purchase any of the camera gear that I use so you can get it for yourself. And if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you very much. Go ahead and click the like button. And remember everybody, your work is only just as good as the fun that you had creating it. My name is Will Tran, and I'll see you in the next video.